What's up, everybody? Today we're talking about some external resources that can help you in squad. So if you like more guides like this, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment down below if I've missed any helpful resources that you use for your gameplay. So I've seen posts and other videos related to this type of content, but I thought it was important to have this actually on my playlist of guides. And for all these resources, I'll have links in the description below so you can access them. And the first resource we're going to talk about is the Squad Wiki. You've probably heard of other games having wikis or some sort of online website that discusses some of the basics or things that you might need to know as a player, and this is no different. There's plenty of information built in this site. For example, you can look up information about different factions, the units or vehicles that pertain to that faction, and plenty more, including maps, game modes, and even some of the iconography you see in the game. It's going to be helpful to lean on this when you're trying to figure out something about a unit to a faction, or maybe just a specific kit and what all it has with that kit, along with what vehicles come with what faction. But perhaps one of the more important aspects of the Squad Wiki and what it can offer you is admin commands. This can be really helpful, especially if you're looking to continue educating yourself on what's available in the game. For example, if you want to take an extra look at a map or a vehicle, you can use the Squad Wiki to help spawn these things in. And this doesn't require you to own a server. You can do this solo in your own training range. So for example, I can boot up Jensen's training range and I can begin to use the Squad Wiki and some of the admin codes there just by copying them and pasting them into the tilde menu while in Jensen's. So here I'm going to copy the code for the BMP2 with Desert Camo. I'm going to go back to Jensen's. I'm going to hit the tilde key on my keyboard. That opens up the admin console in Jensen's and will be visible on the bottom left of your screen. Then I can actually hit Control V on my keyboard to paste the command I've copied from admin wiki to spawn the vehicle, which you can do by hitting the Enter key on your keyboard. And I can spawn that vehicle in using the code provided in the Squad Wiki. Now, if you're interested in familiarizing yourself with a specific map, you can hit the tilde key again, type in admin change layer. This will give you all the options for the maps that you can switch to. This can also include modded maps if you have any mods downloaded. You can go through this list using your arrow keys and hit enter on the one that you'd like to switch to, and then Jensen's will automatically switch over to whatever map you've selected. And as I mentioned, this is a solo experience. You can't invite your friends into your own training range, but it gives you the option of taking a better look at maps at your own pace. Now, even on this version of Goro, I can still go back to the Squad Wiki, copy a code for a vehicle, and spawn that in on this layer. Now, there are ways to also spawn specific factions and battle groups. That brings us to our next resource, which is a document that OWI puts out with major updates to Squad. This covers all the different battle group types, the vehicles, and the maps that those battle groups or factions are available on. Reviewing this can give you more information about what you may be voting on between rounds in the map voting phase. But if you want to spawn in a specific unit or a faction on your own Jensen's training range, you need to go to BG layer availability. You're going to need the abbreviation for the faction. For example, you may be doing something along the lines of ADF versus VDV. And you'll need the battle group type that you'd like to include. So how do we get a specific faction and battle group type on a specific map in our own training range? So first, let's pick our map. Let's say admin change layer, and then we're going to pick Goro RAS 2. Now I know the Australian abbreviation is ADF, so I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add a plus sign. I'm going to reference the BG layer availability tab in this document to see what Australian Defence Force units are available on Goro. We have the options of air assault or mechanized. I'm going to choose air assault. And I'm going to paste air assault right after the plus sign that I added after ADF. After that, you'll add a space, type in VDV for the Russian Airborne Forces, and add another plus sign, and then we'll pick the unit that is available for the VDV on Goro. Our options for this map are the air assault, armored, mechanized, and support. I'm going to choose armored. You'll paste that after the plus sign following the VDV, and by hitting enter, you'll actually have the map switch over to Gorodoc RAS 2 with those factions and unit types. So hopefully that gives you some idea of how you can go check out different unit types, weaponry, or vehicles on different maps. If you want to go even further into understanding the different maps available in Squad, along with possible objectives or capture points, let's dive into Squad maps. Some of you may be familiar with an older resource used called Squad Lanes. Well, now players typically are going to use Squad maps. Now, of course, some of this information is actually built in game. Like when you're loading into a server, you have mode info. If you click mode info, it's going to show you the map and all the possible objectives. And during the round, you can go back to this by hitting enter, clicking the team's game mode info tab, and then revisiting the same mode info tab at the bottom left of the screen. Squad maps goes a step further and helps narrow it down as your team progresses through the round based on capturing objectives. This can be helpful if you're trying to learn the game, learn the maps, and understand where objectives might go, especially when playing Random Advanced Secure or Invasion. This just gives the ability for newer squad leads or players with less experience to help bridge the gap between players that are more experienced in understanding the map, where to position themselves or their squad. And there's some other helpful thing that Squad Maps does. For example, you can pick the factions, the battle group type, and see what vehicles are available with those factions and battle groups. This is another piece that Squad Maps offers to help newer players gain a bit of knowledge about what they may be facing on any given round. And there's another feature that Squad Maps has embedded, which is the Mortar Calculator. This is great to have built into Squad Maps because you're tracking where objectives might go, where the enemy objective might be, and you can also place a mortar down, figure out your ranging to cover certain objectives, as well as figuring out the information you need to input into your mortar or other emplacement or vehicle to be able to fire upon that target. Now, there are other mortar calculator apps or websites that you can utilize. One is Squad Calc. Squad Calc is actually pretty cool because it gives you very high-res imagery of the map. And you can, of course, do the same sort of things you do in Squad Maps, where you can change the sort of deployable or weaponry that you're trying to range. It also gives you a bunch of information around the topography of the map itself, especially when using something like mortars. Squad Calc also gives you the ability to make certain marks on the map. This could be useful if you're trying to mark progress or information that may disappear while in-game. Those are the two that I'm most familiar with. I do know that there's also Squad MC, but this is probably the tool I'm least familiar with. However, it does allow you to also range mortars. You can also make a couple of additional marks. I think this is pretty helpful live in-game, especially if you're trying to monitor progress or adjustments that you need to make when actually utilizing a mortar. Now, if you're looking to fight armor, maybe be an armor player as in an IFV or an MBT, maybe you're just a hat kit or a lat kit and you're looking for a better way to attack vehicles, this next resource is important. This is the Squad Armor page. This can be a demanding resource, but it's also helpful to start understanding where to attack these vehicles. Now on the site, you have a range of vehicles that you can select. We're going to take a look at the M1A1 Abrams just for this example. And on this page, you can start to see armor values, which can be significant if you're trying to find some form of weak spot to do hull damage. You can also adjust the view to be able to see internal components, including the ammo rack. What's also helpful is that you can select what weapon you may be using against the M1A1. And with this sort of information, you can start to determine how much damage you're going to start doing to the tank if you just end up in a slugfest. Or you can utilize this site to help determine weaknesses of the tank that may affect your positioning and how you want to approach the fight that you may be looking to have. There's just a lot of data here that you can take in, and you also have additional details which breaks down plenty more stuff, including the different ammo that the vehicle may be operating with, reload times, and more. If you're playing a lot of armor or getting into it, maybe you're just anti-tank infantry, would definitely take a look at this website. Now, if you're more of an infantry player and you're looking for more information around rifle damage and anti-infantry fights, there is a document available for you, but it does get a little bit nerdy. There's the Squad Anti-Infantry Weapon Damage. This actually goes over what all the different weapons in Squad actually do when hitting different parts of the body. So this can give you a little bit of an understanding about what to expect when you are in an infantry fight and you make contact with an enemy. Now, overall, this goes pretty in depth. Like, you're going to understand sort of your effectiveness in terms of a range, what the bullet damage might be if it hits the leg of an enemy. But typically, this can also make you a smarter player just by a quick review and understanding sort of what's happening in those firefights. This also goes over additional explosives like grenades or 40 mil. You can also get an idea of what rocket damage might do and vehicle-based damage. There's plenty here if you want to dive in a little bit deeper into some of those values and things that might be tied to your gunplay. Now, our next resource might be a little bit more fun to check out, but some servers that you may be playing on participate with Mysquadstats.com. This is a website that basically calculates everybody's statistics from participating servers. But if you are playing on one of the participating servers, you may be able to get an idea for your kill to death ratio, maybe how many times you've been TK'd or your favorite weapon. You can just look up your username or your Steam ID to find that information, again, as long as you're playing on a participating server. Otherwise, there are some servers that may track their own data, which you can find probably in their community Discord. Now, maybe you go to Mysquadstats, you see how good your kill to death ratio is, and you decide you want to take your competition up a level and get into Squad Competitive. There's a couple resources I'll mention to you, including the Squad Comp Discord. There you can find out information about teams and tournaments that may be happening. There's also the Squad Esports website, which is a growing website that covers some of the teams and tournaments that may be happening for Squad. And through these resources, you may be able to find some coverage of recent tournaments, matches, or scrims that you could actually watch on Twitch or YouTube. So that covers a bunch of different resources for squad players, and I hope this is helpful, especially for some of you that may be new to the game. And don't forget, if you are relatively new to the game, you may consider joining some of the Discords that are tied to servers that you're playing in most frequently. If you found this video at all helpful, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, drop a comment down below if I've missed any resources that could be helpful, and I'll catch you next time.